Recently, my wife and I attended the opera at the Academy Theater here in Lynchburg. We were seated some time before the play started, and as I watched others come into the theater, I noticed something. Some of the people who were attending took the opportunity to really dress up for the show. Some wore dresses that suggested a character in the play. Others dressed in a way that suggested that they had created a costume just for this occasion. Some took the costume to an extreme that made them look cartoonish, unreal. And yes, they got people's attention. As I observed the attention getters, I began to wonder about their motivation. Why did they do it? Today is the last Sunday in our current liturgical year, and it's fitting that we honor Jesus, reminding ourselves that he is the King of the universe. St. Paul sums it up in his letter to the Colossians. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For in him were created all things, in heaven and on earth, the visible and the invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions, principalities or powers, all things were created through him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. Paul's description of Jesus helps us to orient ourselves in this life, and it leads us back to the people in the opera. I thought about what I had seen for some time, and the question kept coming back to me, why? What word would summarize what the costume opera goers were trying to demonstrate to us who were watching them? It came to me in the wee hours of the morning. They were trying to show that they were relevant. They mattered. They somehow, in the dress that they had chosen, were a part of the operatic happening. Although not a part of the play on stage, their dress signified that we onlookers should understand that they had some sort of connection, some place in the play. The reading in 2 Samuel gives us a brief glimpse into a historical context that might help illustrate this further. The Jews had approached God asking for an earthly king to run their day-to-day affairs. God was not in favor of the idea and resisted their plea for some time. And finally, after warning them about having a king instead of God, God gave in. In the reading that we hear today, the 11 tribes are in disarray, seeking a human king to replace Saul. David would be a great king, but the monarchy was human-focused, not relevant to God's larger plan, and eventually it failed. Being relevant is a human condition. Those who appear at public occasions dressed to draw attention to themselves can remind us of this human tendency. And we can see this played out in the gospel today. There are three groups in the gospel scene who posture and speak as if they are the relevant factor in the event. There are the rulers of the Jews, They mock Jesus as incapable of helping himself. As the authorities, they point out that surely someone sent by God could do this. There are the soldiers, tough, violent, and well-schooled in obedience to the emperor. They taunt Jesus, calling him to come down from the cross, something he could do if he is indeed a king. And there is the criminal who sneers at Jesus, daring him to save himself and them. His anger expresses his own wish to be relevant. Each of these actors seek to be relevant to the suffering and death of Christ. They fail because they seek a worldly solution to an action that is wholly centered on Jesus. Only the second criminal seems to understand what is happening. He asks for relevance as a small part of something that is much bigger than himself. Last week, I spent time in the snowy woods in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Each morning, I would walk a half a mile from the camp to a deer blind, and there I sat, waiting for a prize buck to appear in the clearing ahead of me. Time passed. No buck appeared. During that time of waiting, I noticed other things going on around me. The sound of a crow talking to itself as it searches from branch to branch, looking for food. I could hear the occasional sound of snow falling off the branches. Chickadees were singing their song of winter as they foraged. And the wind in the top of the trees would blow, rustling the branches, and then all would become silent. And God was everywhere. In that moment, one can become aware that as an individual, the idea of being relevant is measured by how we fit into God's larger plan, being satisfied with playing the small part that God has for each of us. Jesus Christ is King of the universe. He was through all of last year, and he will be all of the coming year. The question to each of us is whether and how we support his kingship, enjoying the blessings that he provides, being relevant by accepting our part in his plan, the universal plan of the kingship of Jesus Christ.